Hello, my name is Riley, and I am the student worker for the Automated Systems and Robotics program. I am making this tutorial on how to connect RoboRun Plus with RoboRealm and how to do fiducial tracking alongside magnet strip tracking, as well as just general connection with RoboRealm, because this was something that I struggled with over my summer. The first thing is you need to get RoboRealm running. If we just make a new program, there's nothing here. The fiducial isn't being tracked, and it's just blank. I will make a few assumptions in this tutorial that you know basics of RoboRealm and basics of RoboRun, so that I don't need to go in detail explaining coding or whatnot. However, there is one thing I have to say, which is that on a new computer that does not have Microsoft Office or PowerPoint or any of those things, the there is a good chance that you will not have the net coding to do some of the commands that I have done in my code. So what you are going to want to do is either go to Visual Studio and download that, and then at the screen where you pick which environments you want to have, scroll down and pick the .NET and the Word/PowerPoint environment. And what you're going to want to do as well is go to Control Panel, Programs, turn Windows features on or off, and then here at the top, .NET Framework 3.5. This you are going to want to click, and I have it active, but it would look like this if it wasn't active. And by default, it is not active on new Windows computers. You're going to want to click it on and then press OK. And that'll download those files. It needs internet access, but once you have that, you should be good to go. There's some libraries like lists and arrays in the Visual Basic script that this runs off of that are not possible unless you have those files downloaded. Now, what you're going to want in this program is going to be fiducial. You just double click that, and then you get this menu. You can set all the values you want. These can be useful if you want to limit how much confidence or size or whatnot that you want total. And then here, filter threshold, it is probably best to just go to 1. And that will select only the most confident fiducial that it sees. This can be very useful if you have a low tolerance, and instead of grabbing the obvious target, it would grab that target plus all of the things that it might think are targets, and then mess with your programming because there's more than one selected. So just select the first best. Camera properties, if you have a different camera, these can be useful. For now, they will do fine for me. And this is just for debugging purposes. It'll show on the camera these things that I pick. So I will pick contrast, distance, and coordinates. Alright. I'll bump down the confidence for now. There is documentation online. RoboRealm has documentation on fiducials. Fiducial marker, and it'll tell you all that you can want to know. It'll tell you all of the variable names that you can get in the code, as well as some uses and more in-depth instructions. But for now, we'll leave fiducials there. Okay, now you can see that it has a purple box around it. And if we go in here, we can see that that is the test box color. Let's bump this minimum down some more. Ah, that's right. We need to train it. So, you hit this train button, and it'll give you a folder. The default will be... I'll just grab this address. And I will put it in here. And this will give you the base folder of all of the fiducials. Now, the problem with this is that there are some that could look, especially attic, garage, hallway, and maybe this penguins poster, they can look somewhat like typical objects. If you have a black screen with a reflection, it can look like some of these, and it can trip it up. So what I do is I select some of the fiducials that I want to use. In this case, we'll go with garden, since that's what's on the wall. We'll go with balcony and bedroom, just for a decent baseline. I will create a new folder in a known location. New fiducials. And I will copy them into that folder. Now that we have those in that folder, just those, it will be more accurate to what we want. And it'll only look for those. The rest of the fiducials are out of the picture now. This PC, there we go. New fiducials. Hit OK, and that is the new target. You press start, it loads 3 images, and then press OK. And now you can see that instead of a purple box, it is a green box because it recognizes it from this folder. Fiducials need this white border with a black border and then a design in the middle. Those are a requirement, and so that's why even when it wasn't trained on anything, it could tell that this was probably a fiducial because it had those elements. And now you can see here that it has different coordinate values and such. I'll just full screen that and zoom in a bit more. And if I move the camera, you can see the coordinate values change. Now, this contrast can be a bit finicky with lighting. Right now it's at 40%, even though it is black on white, which should be 100% contrast. The lighting not being so good makes it not so good. But the confidence is high because it's very close. This distance can be used in a program. That's what I use in my program. You can also use size or the y coordinate if it is at an offset, and that will give you a baseline for how far away something needs to be. So if I pull it back, you'll see distance starts changing. If I angle it, you'll see the y coordinate starts changing. But for now, we'll keep it there. The next thing you're going to want to do, since we are hooking it up to a Robotech motor controller, is we will need the Robotech motor control. You can see it's added down here, and the COM port will be the USB serial device. This is important because there are a few different ways to connect, but the only one that I was able to get working is through the USB. Just select USB serial device, and these variables are going to be your motors. So one is going to be either left or right, and then the other is the other. And you can test to see which one it is for which. This min-max will be limiting how much you can send to the motor. Analog input, digital output. For right now, none of these are important. They can be used, but that is mostly for controlling, for sending signals to things other than the motors. And right now, the motor is the only thing we need. So we'll hit OK. And then if we go in here, you can see controller model NA. That means it is not connected right now. And then after that, we just need Visual VB Script program. And this is where you can put in your code to do all the stuff. Oop, I need to hit OK, and now it's in there. These are the three that you will need. You won't need any other than these three unless you want to get into more specific things like different inputs. Say you want a color mask to try to make this more efficient. But for right now, that's all you need. VB script, I'm not doing a tutorial into. There are other places you can find tutorials on. You can also look up online resources. The one I recommend the most is VB script list. Look into other people's questioning how to do things, see how they got fixed. There are also tutorials for this, and this will tell you pretty much all you need, but that's about it. And we can close that. So now we have this program. We can save it on the desktop. Test program. Now, I am not a professional. I did not get any formal training or teaching or classes on programming, so I do not know the technically correct way to do things. But the way I code in this small situation is just through Notepad++. It is fairly flexible. It has some built-in languages. if we go to reference files, we can see there's Micro Basic. It has, Robotech does have a Micro Basic Notepad ++ library. Called Micro Basic Extras. Right there. Notepad ++ Micro Basic Dictionary. It's simple. You download it, you just follow the instructions in the README, and then you can get the Micro Basic language. If I go to language, Micro Basic. And that'll give you all of the functions as colored words, and if I do that, it'll give me recommendations of different instructions. I'm not doing a tutorial on coding. I am just saying, go crazy, because Visual Basic Script is quite a troublesome one. Alright, now that we've gotten through the basics of getting the program running, we will now get into how to connect the two together. First thing you're going to want to do is plug in the battery to your Robotech controller. Hopefully this battery works. And then launch RoboRun Plus. If all goes well, it should find the motor controller. But it's starting to seem like the battery I have is bad. Alright, I am back now with a charged enough battery, and let's plug this in. Now you can see that it has grabbed the controller, and it asks if we want to read. Sure. And now we need to go over this. So, command priorities. Priority number 1 is serial. This will look different on the snowplow robots, but generally RS-232 is the same serial as this. So priority 1 serial, priority 2 doesn't need to be pulse. It doesn't need to be anything. It can just be none. But then there's a lot you can do in Robotech that I'm sure there are tutorials out there for, maybe even on the Dunwoody channel. But for now, I'm not going to go over that. You can look into that on your own. So now that we have it hooked up and it has found it, we need to now, before I forget, in order to run RoboRun scripts alongside RoboRealm scripts, you need to first put in your program here. I will put in my program here. Alright, now to device. It'll ask to do that, and then you just run it. Alright, and then you go over to run, and if the emergency stop turns off, just turn it back on. Then you're going to want to hit run. And now this light is on, it's running script, it's on serial, it's connected at COM3, And if I put a magnet in front, you can see, let me make it more clear. Motor commands, put a magnet under it, and you can see those values going. And this is just a basic magnet following script. And now if I completely exit it, it is running, emergency stop is on, I close it. But it's still running. If I put the magnet strip on it, not sure if you can hear it, but the motors are still running. It does not need to be running on the computer in order to actually run. And if you do not exit out of it, I will show you what happens. Yes. Alright. It is found. I will go into RoboRealm. And I will go to Robotech Motor Control. And currently the controller model is not found. But once I go here and I hit X, it's found. It's right there. STC 2160. That is the current model of the motor controller I'm running. And if I were to go into RoboRun now, it says found at COM3, but nothing's appearing. And that's because it's already in use in RoboRealm. So you can't have them both open at the same time. Now, unlike RoboRun, RoboRealm needs to be active in order to do the scripts. So, it needs to be computer operated. And now that this is going, any signals that you send to the motor controller, it will work. And then you just do your program and it'll send it to the motor controller. The RoboRun script will take priority. And that means that anytime you are sending a signal to the motor, whether it is 200 or 0, those will take priority over the RoboRun or RoboRealm scripts. So, if you want to have a combination, you need to send a 0 signal once from the RoboRun script and then let RoboRealm take over. And this is important because a lot of times the shortest way to program something is to just constantly send a signal depending on the state. And that means that while it hasn't found a magnet strip, just keep sending a 0 signal. But that will overwrite the signals coming from here and will not allow it to go through. So just send a signal once, and then after that, these signals can go through. But I believe that is all I need to talk about here. You can find all of the fiducial values in here. You've got all your fiducial variables. And if you do a set variable command, this will allow your variables to show up here with the current value of them next to it. That is very helpful in debugging. But this you can load from a VBScript file. And if we go to Notepad++ and create a new file, just say set variable and save it as test.vbs. That will automatically create the VBScript program file. Save as desktop minibot startup. You can see it is a VBScript file, and that means that if I do stuff like this, it'll automatically go to that language. This is why I use Notepad++. It has built-in language. But that's about it.